everyone, this is Kyle from WeTechCareOfYou, and today we're going to create our first Power Automate flow. Now, in the last video that we did, we created a Power App, which we could submit jobs and store those jobs into a SharePoint list. So for today's session, we're going to take that data which is stored in the SharePoint list and use Power Automate to send an automated email whenever a new item is added to that list. So let's get started. So as you can see, this is the SharePoint list that we have from the last video, and this is just a basic SharePoint list in SharePoint Online, and it's just populated with some of the jobs that I've done for my joinery business, Kyle's Joinery. So first, what we want to do is we want to go to Power Automate. Now you can type this in Google if you just type Power Automate, and you need to go to flow.microsoft.com, or if you're already in Microsoft 365, you can select the menu on the top left, and you can see Power Automate here. Okay, so we'll open that in a new tab. Okay, so this is the Power Automate screen. So just another thing as well is that back in the day, this was called Microsoft Flow. So a lot of people still refer to this as Flow, but Microsoft changed the name to Power Automate. So Power Automate, Microsoft Flow, they're both the same thing. So what we want to do here is click Create. And because of Microsoft, they provide a lot of templates that you can use. So hopefully, this might fit the situation that you're currently in. But for today's session, we're going to create from blank. Now, even from blank, there are still many different types of flows you can do. You can do an automated flow, which will be triggered by something else happening. You can do an instant flow, where you can trigger that yourself by manually clicking a button. Or you can do a scheduled flow, where this is by a certain time or a certain date, you can have that flow run. So for this lesson, we're going to do an automated flow because we want this to trigger every time a new item is added to that SharePoint list. So we need to give our flow a name. So I will call it Kyle's Joinery Finance. So these are the triggers which will trigger the flow when this event has happened. What we want to do is when a new item is created into that SharePoint list from the Power App, we want to, as soon as that's created, we want this flow to trigger, and that will send an email to the finance department. So what we want to do is when an item is created, if you click the information next to it, it also just gives you some further information. So this triggers when an item is created. It's just pretty the same as the title, but some of them will have a better explanation than that. So we'll click create here. Okay, and there's the flow created. So firstly, what we want to do is in this step, we want to connect to the SharePoint site that the list is in. So mine was in my dev site. And then in the next column, you'll select the list name. And it was Kyle's Joinery. So next, all we want to do is we just want to add a new step. And we want to send an email. So there are, again, with Flow, like you can always just type in the search bar the functionality that you're trying to create, and it'll return the results to match if you can actually do that. So we want to send an email, and there's a couple of ways that we can send an email. The way that I'm going to use is the Office 365 Outlook, because the finance team in my tenant already have an account. So this option is if you have an account within your tenant and you want to send that account an email. If the email is like an external email address, like a Hotmail or Gmail, you can use this option. This is where you can just enter any generic email and it will send an email to that address. But for this, I'm going to use this internal one. So if I select send an email, so I'm just going to search for the finance team. Okay, so we've got finance. I'll put the subject of the email to be the customer name. And then I'll put the created date as well. So this will show the name, the created date, and the subject of the email. And then I will add the body to be, hey, finance team. Joiner completing the job has just completed a job for, I'll insert the price to show the amount that has just been earned. Kind regards. Okay, for a test, I will also get this to email to myself so I can show you the email. And then if you click save on the top right, then your flow is saved. If you then click back and just make sure the flow is also turned on, a lot of the time these will also be turned off. So this flow is ready. So now whenever a new list item is added to this list, it will trigger a flow and it'll send the information that has just been added to the email address that I added. So let's add a new record and see it work. So the customer name, soprano, location. Okay, so let me check my emails to make sure that it's... And there you can see, so there's the email unread there. So as you can see, the work was done for Tony Soprano at this date. And it says, hey, finance team, Kyle Crowley has just completed a job for 1,000. So there you have it. There's your first Microsoft Flow created. So if we just take a look back, this is a Microsoft Power Automate, which triggers when a list item is added to a SharePoint list, and then it will send an email to whoever you want. I hope this has helped, and please don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and thank you for listening. Thank you.